Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Ball Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Matt on Dragon Stompy versus Mark, the Goblin King. We know what he is on. That is Goblins in every format. And now we have Magus of the Moon, traditionally not very good, versus Goblins, but you're going to see this is an Unsettled Mariner build, really contorting the mana base. So Cavern of Souls, only going to tap for a red, along with this Ancient Ziggurat. Munitions Expert, not a possibility despite having these rainbow lands because they are mountains. And now Umezawa's Jite threatening to just steal this game very quickly. The Jite or Jitters, whatever you call it, if you are a Goblin player, you definitely have some concerns about that card, as it is just an absolute monster, able to kill that Goblin Lackey, also making it so this Goblin Chieftain can't block the Magus of the Moon effectively. He would have been able to remove a counter, turn it into a 4/4, and still squish that Chieftain. Karn now coming to Matt's side of the board, and we'll see what he fetches up with that. Or maybe we won't. Might have been Liquid Metal Coating. I am not sure. Goblin Ringleader. This could help pull him back a little bit. Likely this Chieftain about to get KO'd by the Umezawa's Jite. Now they both have haste, so Ringleader would have been able to attack no matter what there, and it was a Sword of Fire and Ice, and now just so much extra damage coming in. Jit counters accumulating. A Goblin Ringleader. This will basically just draw 2 counters off of that Jit, or force the concession, as it were. So Goblins down a game. Surprisingly, Magus of the Moon doing some work versus this build. To be fair, the black-red build is kind of the staple build at this point, so Magus would have been likely about as effective there. They do have a basic swamp that they can draw in some of the builds. Badlands usually doing most of the work there. This build has a human-style mana base, something you might see in like a modern deck. We're talking cards like Uncharted Territory, I believe it is, Cavern of Souls, of course, which is in both builds, but then they also have Ancient Ziggurat, a land that I am not a fan of. I've actually ran this list a couple of times. My main notes were how poor Ancient Ziggurat is. There were several hands that needed to be mulliganed due to having Aether Vial and Ancient Ziggurat and just not being able to cast the card. That is pretty abysmal. And then I suppose the other big thing is the number of Leyline of the Voids. There's 3 Leylines in there. I got stomped out twice back-to-back by Black-Red Reanimator. And I think Leyline is really the only card that matters there. A turn 1 Relic literally was not enough to prevent a turn 1 Gristlebrand. Even on the draw, even on the play, it wouldn't have been enough, as a fetch land was involved. Now we have an Aether Vial off of a plateau. Matt considering Ancient Tomb. Instead, he's going to put out that City of Traders, exiling Simian Spirit Guide to get that turn 1 Moon effect, which you can pretty much expect almost every game. And now a Goblin Engineer. He's going to go get an artifact, put it in the graveyard. Umezawa's Jite has been found. And now Pyrokinesis, a powerful play here from Mark, clearing both of the creatures. Pre-combat. Not sure if Matt would have actually turned that Magus sideways or not. But now we have a Goblin Crater Maker and a Chieftain coming in for 5 damage. So Mark in pretty good shape here. This Chieftain can also take out any type of equipment. I'm sorry, this Crater Maker can also take out any piece of equipment that Matt is likely to have. Any colorless permanents. In Legacy, that typically is going to be cards like Batterskull, Jit, Aether Vial potentially, Emrakul at the top end, and now Karn, another possibility. Really a surprising amount of targets for this Goblin Crater Maker. Just a ton of versatility. A charm on a body, giving you great board control, taking out cards like Baleful Strix. So many smaller creatures. And Sling Gang Commander, or Sling Gang Lieutenant. And is this lethal right here? Chieftain plus Sling Gang equals a one-hit KO there. Or perhaps a combo. You got to swing in for that big heavy hit and then sacrifice for all of those additional light hits. 1 damage and gaining 1 life. That card just really shores up a lot of issues for the deck. And the fact that you can leave Aether Vial on 4 is really incredible. Previous builds, you kind of topped out at 5. You got in Siege Gang Commander. You felt pretty good about it. But if things went sideways from there, cards like Terminus, Supreme Verdict, even just having to sack stuff down, perhaps even the Siege Gang getting swords. At that point, it was very difficult to recoup. Your Aether Vial had kind of expired. Those Goblin Ringleaders that you were drawing, no longer are you getting those for free. You're paying the 4 mana, which makes it more difficult to convert those additional cards into your board presence. So Goblin's really getting some great printings to include. Though, to be fair, the whole format's been getting incredibly good cards, and one of them is particularly damaging to Goblins, and that would be Plague Engineer. So if you are a Goblin pilot, when you sit down across from an opponent not on black mana, there's a little bit of a relief that you're not going to see the Engineer this round. So Mark knows that Matt has an awful lot of cards that are bad news for him, but nothing quite as nasty as the Engineer, so we think. And turn 1, Zoetic Cavern face down. We've got a Morph versus an Aether Vial. And a Crater Maker of his own being sacrificed off that City of Traders with the floating mana. Unsettled Mariner shows up. And this is going to make it very difficult for Matt to be targeting any of Mark's permanents here. The Goblin King building some defense here against cards like Umezawa's Jite and Sword of Fire and Ice. Going to make it very awkward and certainly inefficient. Matron now, grabbing Ringleader. These Unsettled Mariners play very well in pairs or really squads. Once you start having to pay 2, 3, or even 4 mana to target a permanent by removing a counter off of Umezawa's Jite, and that card really shrinks up fast. And Zoetic Cavern getting in there. That Servo and Dak Faden emblem, I believe, are just 1/1s for the Seasoned Pyromancer. Oh, and another Unsettled Mariner. And that Goblin Lackey, if he can start getting past these 1/1s and this Goblin Engineer, it's going to get a little more complicated. Matt has set up this Sword of Fire and Ice in his graveyard. This Chrome Mox. So Seasoned Pyromancer being taken down along with the Goblin Engineer. Matt left with just Zoetic Cavern as a Morph and 2 1/1s. And this Dragon Stompy deck now looking to be outclassed in the board presence department. Magus the Moon, another lackluster 2/2, though it will stop this Unsettled Mariner from being cast, which is not nothing. Aether Vial, another mountain in the form of Wasteland. Matt does need to be aware of that. If that Magus goes away, that Wasteland will be able to take out that Ancient Tomb, setting back significant amounts of mana. A Goblin Crater Maker. And he takes out the Magus. Seasoned Pyromancer ambushing here. Getting a couple of 1/1s. And now another Unsettled Mariner landing for the Goblin King. He is hell-bent at this point, though going to be able to cast really anything that he draws. Ancient Tomb taken down now, and Matron swinging, willing to trade with that 1/1 token. And Ratchet Bomb. Mark with count permanents on 1, 2, and 3 mana here. So Ratchet Bomb not going to really create any type of card advantage. It takes down the Aether Vial. And Matt thinking he can survive this 3 damage a turn onslaught. Boy, from here it looks like a classic Who's the Beatdown situation. And Matt needed to be a little bit more on the defense. We'll see this Goblin Chieftain now pumping the entire team. And just like that, Mark gets the concession and the match. So yeah, that was a very interesting situation there. It seems like that token would have been much better off traded for that Matron. Those Goblins have a lot of synergy together. Cards like the Goblin Chieftain, Goblin Pile Driver. The Goblins definitely like to have a squad put together, and keeping the 1/1 token and going on offense did not end up working out there for Matt. So Goblin King taking another one down in Legacy. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.